Morning, everybody. I am so late. I do apologize. I knew I was gonna have to do something before the stream, but I didn't appreciate how long it was going to take. But we are here. We are ready to stream, and I'll just make sure the stream health is what it should be, and then we will hop into the game. I hope you are all well. I know there were a couple of people interested in seeing Cyberpunk, so I hope I didn't start too late for them. But we will do our best with the time that we have, and there's always next week. So I will actually take a minute here to just to remind people of the plan for the oncoming week or so. All things being equal, I do intend to stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but so it's Christmas Eve on Wednesday, and then because it's Christmas on the Thursday, I do intend to stream. Now, obviously, that will also mean three streams in a row, so depending on how I feel, there may be... I may decide to call it or start a bit later, a little bit like tonight, I suppose. But yeah, the intention is still to do regular streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then on Christmas Day, I do intend to read at least one Christmas story. But usually there's been more stuff that I do on that. I don't have a time yet, but I will make sure that I announce that maybe on Twitter and then also on the Discord. But of course, we are here for Cyberpunk tonight, so let's load up. I feel like it's been a while,
Hey, everyone.
mostly
Welcome
because
to
of
Cyberpunk.
Outlast.
Say, did y'all lose power yesterday too? Yeah, when the lights went out, there I was cooking dinner. Oh well, if we're getting specific, I was nuking a half-eaten.
Okay, so I think this is just another one of the Street Profit bits.
But what they don't know, the real name for this thing they call cyberspace is actually
I have never really cared for these, but
pandemonium! What is life without its body? What are the beings of the net if not souls from beyond our plane of existence? I have heard their voices. Let they who yet live never cross that threshold, for their souls will join those ghosts.
This is Night City. No one's got a soul to lose.
Mock as you will, unbeliever. You shall see who laughs last as you're engulfed in hellfire. Satan himself!
Laughs.
okay, so if I can, I'd like to focus on side missions, but because I've been focusing on side missions, I know we're running out of them. So this is part of the main story. Judy's apartment may not be a bad choice. Yeah, wow, I was not expecting to have cleared out everything. So Judy's apartment
I'm
is?
skeptical. I heard the runner who wrote that Satan demon gave him a weak sense of humor.
You ask, who opened? These are the holy gates of the abyss.
No one's asking.
If it's 1 a.m., I'm probably going to... It's probably going to go, like, overnight, but that's fine. Like, the only other thing I can really do to pass the time is, like, do some private police work. All right. My bad. Oops. I should probably be paying attention to the road at this point. Okay. So I'm trying to remember if we had visited. I feel like we met with her, like with the contact before. So I think this one we're actually planning an attack on clouds. Wait until evening, you say? Bob Sagan, come back to camp. It's about Jake.
Hey, V. Come on in. Pizza's getting cold. We're in the kitchen.
You made it. Good. Grab a seat. This is Roxanne. She's worked at Clouds longer than any of us.
Hello.
Hey, nice to meet you.
When I heard what you pulled at Clouds, shit, I so regretted I was off that day.
Just eat the free pizza and then we're out of here, okay?
How are you?
Okay, I guess, but, you know, sad as hell.
Were you and Evelyn close?
Yeah, blew up in her face when she showed up back at Clouds. She was supposed to be long gone, the one who got away. But deep in my heart, I was glad to see her back. Feel like such a gunk now.
You'll never get rid of the stench of the corpse. You drop a lot of them, don't you? What's your secret?
So, change your mind, huh? Quickly, too.
I'm here. Doubt I need to explain why.
All right, Shill. Not here to squabble with you.
Wouldn't put it past you.
Judy convinced you. Call me satisfied.
By the way, Forrest didn't show up for work today. Or yesterday.
No shit, I wonder why.
He's not coming back. Doubt I need to explain why to you.
Me? I've got no idea why. Remember that.
Done saying hello to each other? Revolution won't plan itself. I modified the behavioral chip. It can equip any doll with a motor reflex system. In other words, make the doll move and fight like a Prime-tier solo.
Fascinating, isn't it? What one can learn while tuning fake orgasms for the Moxes.
Mind stepping outside? Can't smoke in here.
You'll air it out later. Fine. I'll sit by the window.
The body will react as if executing a well-trained series of movements. Already tested it out on Tom. Chip's impulses supplant any natural reflexes, so it'll make users feel like they're experiencing cyberpsychosis.
But it's basically the same as when we activate ourselves for a client.
Tech that's all pros and no cons, I don't buy it. Side effects, spill them.
Combat mode auto-initiates when a threat is present, and there's no way to stop it. Can't find a workaround.
And that's it.
I don't know. Only way to determine that'd be through months of testing on a range of subjects.
There's an ethical side too. You could murder someone and not remember a thing.
Solo skills
Hey,
don't lie
Masoabi.
in just executing movements. There's split-second processes that happen. Logistics, decision-making, result of years of practice. Doubt your chip's capable of compensating for that.
You're probably right. But I don't see another way. Alternative's intensive training, but we don't have time for that.
How'd you ever come up with this?
Learned how the behavioral chip works at Clouds. Always seemed like they must be pretty easy to modify. I'm surprised I didn't get the idea the moment we walked into Maiko's office.
Count yourself lucky. What with all the cams and mics and clouds. Tiger Claws would sooner dig those chips out of the dolls with screwdrivers than let an idea like this run its course.
That is wonderful news to see, Masoabi. Congratulations. For those of you that didn't see the message, finished my first 2 grad courses with A's in both. So you must be very happy and must be very eager to enjoy some rest for the holidays.
Right. Gotta see it to believe it.
Finally, someone said it.
Tom? Pulled that sequence from a kung fu training virtue.
Gotta admit, not bad.
Yeah, for the market square in Kabuki. Before we start talking serious biz, gonna need to see serious action.
You just saw him.
I saw a bar trick. I want to see a fight. Got an expert in causing bodily harm among us. I want to see how Tommy handles him.
V? Just don't mess up my digs, okay? I like it here.
It's on now.
What the?
Everything chill? You okay?
Look at me go! You see that? Woo!
Nice work,
Gotta
Judy.
do some cardio.
Outdid yourself. If you were to sell that, you'd be the richest Judy in the NUSA.
Please. Plenty of killing machines in the world. I don't want to turn more people into them. After this, chips are getting micro-nuked.
Happy now?
I'm rarely happy, but that was proof enough. Let's get to it then. You've got an elite force of 3 muscleheads and a techie. What now?
Guards and Tiger Claws in and around will overpower, take down, disarm, escort them out. Clouds will be ours. Bosses, we'll give an ultimatum. A cut of the proceeds in exchange for never showing their faces at the club again. And having no say in how the club's managed.
That's what I thought. A half-baked, insane plan. You can't see more than an inch ahead of you. Taking out the security there won't solve anything. Claws will just send more. Hiromi Sato's the man you gotta get to.
Hiromi Sato. Who's that?
Cloud's real boss. He rarely shows, but you can't so much as sneeze without him finding out. Claws trust him, respect his opinion. He is one of them. We can try to convince him, but it's doubtful. We stand a better chance by injecting him with a dose of fear.
Where do we find this Hiromi?
At his apartment. H8 Mega Tower. Topmost floor. It's a penthouse. Almost never steps outside its glass walls. But I'll figure out a way to get us inside.
Tom and Roxanne gonna come with?
No. Whole point's to strike both places at the same time. They'll take care of business at Clouds.
Two-pronged assault. Loving it.
This just might work. If we get him in his apartment, where he thinks he's completely safe, bosses will understand what we're looking to demonstrate.
My, there's a flickering in that skull sponge of yours after all.
So how about it, V, Tom, Roxy? Made up your minds?
I need to think about it. Never wasted anyone before, you know.
I'm with it all the way.
V?
Tom's
Don't
clearly
tell me you're
wasted someone
seriously
before.
considering this.
Rather not have to flatline anyone.
What he said.
Hope is it won't be necessary.
Overpower Hiromi. Humiliate him. Should be enough. Bosses will put him out of the game.
Oh, interesting. I was going to ask how it was received, but I think I already know if that was your if that was your grade.
Count me in, Judy. I already said I'd help, didn't I?
Thanks, V.
Save the gratitude for later, please. I'll set up the meet with Hiromi and let you know. I need a couple days. Have fun. Toodaloo.
Michael, hold up. Give us a lift.
Only if you don't talk to me. I feel a migraine coming on.
Oh, shit. I'm scared, V. Speaking of gratitude, stuff I'm asking you to do, well, usually comes with a price tag, I know. You want to help, I get that. But I'm more than happy to pay your fee in full. Feels like it's only right.
Judy? For real? No, don't want to hear it.
But
Bep. Not a word.
V, everything okay?
That is funny.
V, you don't look so hot.
Okay. Okay, I'm better. Fine.
What the hell, V? You, like, sick?
It's past. Forget about it.
It's late. You're tired. You can crash on my couch if you want.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Don't worry about it. Make yourself at home.
Oh shit, not good.
So I'll confess, one of the things that I think would be really fun about that kind of study, I think one of the things that would be really fun about it is precisely what you're talking about, like being able to see some of the individual documents. Because like when I can, I mean, this was true for econ, and I think it's true for a lot of the stuff that I do. In econ, I guess the better way I could put it would be like the closer to micro I get as possible, the more interesting the results. So, like the idea here would be most people who've done sort of econ courses in undergrad will be familiar with sort of principles of microeconomics, principles of macroeconomics. And usually there's like, are you a micro person or a macro person? And it's sort of, for me, there's definitely people who will specialize in fields. I don't want to suggest that's not happening, but I do also find that a lot of the really good macro tends to be micro founded, right? Like the behavior of large groups of people, it's still individual people sort of massing it together. But of course, when you do the principles course, it's usually sort of big stories. And of course, this is why people get into history. This is why people get into philosophy. Usually it's like, they make for slightly more convincing or big stories that you can tell. Whereas, micro tends to be a lot more math. And like, I find those also really interesting because, individual decision-making is interesting. The decision to go to school or go into the job market, or businesses, right? What kind of hiring are you going to do? How are you going to respond to an increase in prices? Like all of these, to my view, do create the conditions under which interesting drama happens, which again is usually the reason why people are interested in those subjects. But I also recognize that those are still quite abstract to deal with. I think, weird. Sorry. Okay, cool. Saw something weird happening on my phone, but I should be good. But yeah, it's like in the end, to me, it's like sometimes those individual elements can be the most interesting, but they're not always the sort of thing that winds up in a textbook or whatever. So likewise, what you're describing, looking at the individual letters, unless it's a story of like anecdotes, you're probably not going to see that quote that you gave. But it's a really fun one to just sort of see in isolation, which is kind of why it's, I guess, fun to go into archives or look at collections of things. there's definitely, at least in terms of classics, there's definitely some fun anecdotes which probably aren't true, but they're very memorable quotes. All right, Judy, morning sleepyhead. Had to run, didn't want to wake you, left you some breakfast. Eat up. I could go for a ham and cheese sandwich right now, actually. Hello, Papa Scorp. How you doing? Sorry for the late start. I'm again wasn't quite planning on starting at the time that I did, but that's how the evening turned out.
Someone likes getting their feet wet.
Don't need to be an expert to tell the Gears pro.
Who would have thought?
Perilous future. Electropunk? I'd rather puke out my ears.
Okay. Went through a hellish maintenance last couple of days, but today's been pretty quiet. How am I doing? Not bad. I again got started later than I wanted to, but I like the source of the delay wasn't unpleasant. It's just it took longer than expected, and cool. Hey, how are you? Everything all right? I hope you're getting somewhere with that biochip thing. Fuck it, I'll come out and say it. I like you, V, and I miss you. I feel like such an idiot writing that, but I know I'll press send anyway. Miss you too. I have an idea. Leave NC. With me. With us. Saul and I have been cooking up a plan for that exact reason, and we just might know how to help. Listen, we'll do one last job together, get that head of yours sorted out, and then we'll leave the city behind and never look back. Besides, you don't seriously think I'll just up and leave you. Put that thought away for good, because I'm with you, V, and I will be with you through thick and thin. Well, I'm actually at the point now where I'm actually getting into material I've never seen before. So, so we'll do. Sorry. I don't know if there's a canonical version of Never Fade Away, but I actually really like it when it comes on the radio. I will also say, too, I don't know if Cyberpunk 2077's big enough to merit a fast travel anyway, but I do actually like the sort of... I like the chance to be able to explore the city a little bit on the way to the various events. I guess one thing is that you know, I can get the impression that they probably wanted it to be a bit bigger than it was in terms of like being able to go inside certain, you know, certain buildings and just explore. But, you know, being able to drive around, just sort of see what Night City looks like after the events of Cyberpunk Red, see the city being rebuilt is kind of interesting. How did it go? I'm just saying because I saw you two hashing something out. Who is this? Jill, I've got it under control. Attaboy. I'll keep my lips sealed because otherwise she'll accuse me of being nosy. Just don't tell her you got advice from Agony Aunt Carol, okay? Let's not bring this up again, okay? I have no idea who this is. I think this is Mike Pondsmith. But yeah, one of the funny things is that like I'm obviously going into parts that I haven't seen before, but on the other hand, I've also got like the barrier with Takamura, which I have done before. So I'm a little intrigued to see what this will all look like in the end. Yeah, so like this is an example to me of something where, you know, I like the process of sort of driving through the game, and this is also where I sort of imagined there were some influences for Cyberpunk 2077 that weren't fully realized, and the game is not unenjoyable for it, but I kind of get the impression that there may be a couple of holes that were never really patched up. So I would not be surprised at all if Grand Theft Auto 5 was sort of taken as sort of a touchstone for the experience that they wanted to make. And there's definitely lots of opportunities to do things in Cyberpunk 2077 in a Grand Theft Auto 5 way. So, you know, you've got those police...
V, how you been?
Been all right.
Just thinking. Could drop by for dinner, maybe. Joss has worked up a hankering to cook for the family.
Oh, haven't forgotten I exist after all.
I had to sort some things out. Help my sis. Randy's still in the hospital. Someone has to keep an eye on the kids when Joss visits him.
Relax. Don't need to explain.
Right. So, you gonna stop by?
How could I say no?
Right, great. See you at Joss's then.
Sounds preem.
So, you know, there's lots of stuff to do in the city, and then of course there are these more remote areas, and sometimes it's worth it to just sort of go out and see the whole environment. Like, it's not unpleasant to just go out and drive like this, and it certainly looks great. But I compare that to, again, Grand Theft Auto 5, which is quite an old game now, and it was even an old game when this came out. And you can sort of think of all the Trevor sequences where you're out in sort of roughly the equivalent environment for Grand Theft Auto 5, and there's always stuff happening, right? Like, even like sometimes just a mountain lion will attack you out of nowhere. And so I always kind of get the impression that this was intended to be a little bit more like that. You know, in the end, it's fine. This is an enjoyable and interesting game in its own right, but I do also get the impression that maybe there was supposed to be a little bit more to do here, right? That it's the sort of game where it's like, yeah, you know, you should really feel like anything could happen at any time. And I don't think this game is worse for it, but I've always sort of gotten the impression that it was supposed to be that even if you like got out of your vehicle in this part of town, you'd encounter something to do, a bit like in Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, it depends. Like, the thing is that I this is one of the reasons why I sort of feel like there's a little bit of a hole. Because, like, in one sense, I think there's something really cool about being able to see something like this and sort of knowing that you're actually able to go visit the city that's on the other end of that thing. But I do also think it sort of matters in terms of, like, what you have available. So, like, if you play Grand Theft Auto Online, it's a big theme park where you can do, like, basically anything. And if you play the single player game, you know, if you want to do the story, you can, and you have 3 different sort of point of view characters to play it through, and they definitely play with that. In this one, you can play V, and that's fine. You know, I don't think you have to have 3 characters for it. But in the end, I sort of recognize that, you know, you have, in the city, there definitely seems to be quite a bit that you can sort of do in terms of those side missions and such. And they definitely added a few more with Phantom Liberty. But like I said before, like, I do get the impression that, like, I would not be surprised if, you know, there were some development documents, let's say, released after the fact, that sort of communicated that there was more to do in this area, and that in the end, you know, they just, you know, you have to make the game. You have to make the game that's, you know, within your budget constraint. And when I say budget constraint, I'm not just talking about money, but, you know, the time, the number of people you have. There's a lot that that will determine whether or not you can sort of deliver on the ambitions you have at the start. And I certainly don't think this is a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a little bit like, actually, the example of this that, like, never kind of got its redemption arc, in my view, would be Anthem. So I genuinely believe that Anthem had something really great inside it. And I think it's a real shame that we never got to sort of see the 2.0 version, because it was one of those games where you sort of feel like structurally it's sound. It has things that it needs to improve. But the idea here, hey, Baron Snugs, but the idea was that, like, it was fun to sort of zip around in the jetpack suit, and, like, the combat wasn't all that bad. Like, what it really was, I think it really bore the mark of the fact that they're like, we don't want to be influenced by the other games in this genre. So, and, like, I think if they just not made that decision, if they'd studied some of the things that make it work, right? So, like, you know, Destiny or The Division 2 or you know, anything like that, I really feel like there would have been a wonderful game out of it. But of course, you know, COVID happened, and in the end, I think they were, like, it's really hard to make the claim, you know, you've spent this much money, and it might be disappointing, you know, that you didn't get the results that you want, but when you have a studio like BioWare, right, you're not just making the decision, do you alter an existing game and try and reshape people's perception of it, which already is difficult. I mean, there's a lot of indies that want to try and do that. The cost of doing so is not just the cost of, like, keeping those developers on staff. The cost of it is, like, the Mass Effect sequel that you don't make, or, like, the Dragon Age sequel you don't make, which I think probably a few people maybe would have thought would have been a better outcome. But yeah, like, you know, when you have some of the best developers in the world, it's not just like, here's what it costs to keep them on the payroll. It's like, here's what it costs to keep them on the payroll, and here are all the other things that have potential that they're not making in order to try and turn around this game that didn't live up to the promise. And it's a really hard, I think, you know, indie developers, you know, I believe the Among Us people, one of their most frequent questions they get is like, you know, I think maybe people are overcorrecting for their perception of Among Us. Like, Among Us was not a hit when it first came out. I will point out, if you look at the history of that game, I think Among Us was always successful. but it was also a game that got continued development, and it grew more and more. But I think a lot of people are asking it. Basically, they have an indie release that comes out and it's not as successful as they wanted. That's funny, Papa Scorp. But I think a lot of people then turn around and say, you know, I've got my, you know, this game wasn't as successful. How do I turn it? How do I make it another Among Us? And I think for a lot of people, the best answer is, you know, stop trying to, you know, like, nobody knows for sure what's going to work. You know, you can have some better or worse ideas. But I think in the end, like, sometimes you have to realize what the actual state of the world is. And sometimes that means that, you know, this game that you thought had some potential doesn't actually. And that can be a shame, right? Especially when people have put their own money into it. But like, the sunk cost fallacy is so named for a reason, right? Like, you do not necessarily get that, you don't get that money back by doubling down on the idea that is sort of demonstrated it doesn't have that market viability. Like, in the end, what you need to do is you need to articulate what's going to be different this time around. And for Among Us, the answer was, you know, there's already success for this, and we can be more successful when we add, like, multiplayer, like more than just local multiplayer. Or maybe not local multiplayer isn't what I mean, but like when we add some kind of network support. Whereas, you know, if you do a pixel platformer with a protagonist that's sad, it's not entirely clear, you know, if you sell 10 copies and you were expecting 10,000, like, it's not entirely clear to me what the tweak you make to achieve success is. I think probably the answer to, like, you know, it's not like you completely redo the art program to be sort of bright and exciting like Fortnite or Overwatch. That means making another game. So anyway.
How's Jake doing?
He's easing into it slowly. Needs a day or two to get up on his feet.
I'm glad to hear that.
You have my thanks, V. On behalf of myself and the entire family.
This could have been an email. Gonna head to bed, prepare for a long winter break. Thank you very much, Masoabi. I'm sorry I started so late. Thank you for sharing the wonderful news about your schooling, and also just sharing what you were covering. I know I didn't engage very deeply with it, but I actually appreciated you sharing that. And I hope you have a very Merry Christmas if I don't see you before then. Other side of that code would be dropping support for your hit game to work on its sequel. Well, I mean, actually, so that also has an Among Us comparison. So I believe they were working on an Among Us 2 and sort of made a conscious choice to say, it's like, okay, you know what, let's... I think they actually were generally on the right track to develop a sequel. Because in the end, right, you make certain decisions for a game. They're not necessarily the ones that you would want, and once you realize what you need, sometimes there's a benefit to cut yourself off from that sort of legacy tech. But I think they made a very wise decision to sort of realize, you know, we've got something that people love right now, and yes, it's going to be harder, but it's worth... You know, it's worth continuing to support this thing. In fact, I believe Bungie went out and said that if they could do it over again, they would not do Destiny 2 the way that they did. That essentially they would, they don't want to sort of split the way that that you know happened in the real world. Actually, that's also true for Python, right? They never do the Python 2 to 3 split like before, but you know, sometimes you have to burn your hand on the stove to learn not to do that. Yeah, they were working on an Among Us 2, and then they sort of announced, I think it was after like the game was ridiculously successful, they you know, they just said, you know, we're gonna we're gonna just roll all the work that we're doing in number 2 into the main game. At least that was my understanding of it. I'll confess, I've never actually played it. I own it, but I've never actually like played a session with people. Multiplayer is discrimination against the lonely. That's the only exception you'd make, because that would have been incredibly funny. Yeah. I don't know, like, I think, I believe it's been announced that there's like a Cyberpunk sequel being made, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, from what I understand, a Witcher sequel is being developed. I think there's CD Projekt Red made a deal with Epic, so they're going to be using Unreal Engine to develop those, as opposed to continuing to maintain their you know, their custom engine. And you know, Cyberpunk 2077 certainly had its sort of redemption arc, but I think there's a certain point where they're probably just going to say, yeah, you know what, we're gonna, you know, this is the cutoff point. We've said what we wanted to say. We've bought, you know, we've put enough into this. Oh wow, I did not realize there were extra cars for me to buy. But yeah, you know, I think there's a very reasonable point where you say it's like, yep, you know, even if it just didn't turn out the way that you wanted, there is just that point where you say it's not worth trying to tweak around the edges. We're gonna learn from what we did, and then just try and improve.
I think it was here.
You know, just try and improve what you've got for next time.
Okay, waiting.
I'm not.
Oh, hey. Hi.
I'm honestly
Hey, how's it going?
not too married to any particular tech. Like, you know, it's kind of like when people do certain games and they're like, oh yeah, this was obviously done in Unreal, because, you know, for such a long time, Unity, if you bought like the lowest tier version, I guess not even bought, I guess if you used it for free, you had to have that Unity logo. And so there was this like association with Unity and low quality. But I mean, like, Layers of Fear was a Unity game, and that looked really great. But you know, in the end, like, I think one of the things that's interesting about the way CD Projekt Red is handling it, like, they basically, like, so far as I can tell, they are maintaining their engine team just to sort of build up the tech that they need. And as far as I can tell, some of that's going to probably wind up back in the main Unreal Engine. At least I'm sure that's what Epic's hoping for. But, you know, in the end, right, like, whether it's like my biggest investment on it is insofar as it makes the developers more or less productive, that's how much I care. So, like, generally, I was generally unhappy with this idea that, you know, oh, I'm mad at Unity. It doesn't matter that I'm actually not affected by this change. I'm going to just pivot towards the Godot engine. There is actually one of the reasons I am so salty about this is that there is a game that I kickstarted. They had a Unity demo. They were already behind. Then the Unity thing happened, and then they announced that they, you know, well, you know, on principle, I'm switching to Godot now. And it's like, you are already over a year late on this project, and you are doing another thing to delay it. And I'm really tired of you sort of treating me like some kind of interest-free loan, so you can play a game developer. And like, this is the sort of stuff. The problem is that I got burned by this earlier with Night Dive and the System Shock remake, right? Like, they did a Unity demo of that, and then that was a really successful demo. So they're like, okay, well, we're going to go to Unreal Engine now. And it's like, I have never heard the story, right, where the game developer switches engines and like everything's just done faster, right? That story is always, it's hell on earth to do. Nobody sets aside the appropriate amount of time. And the project just winds up being multiple years delayed or just outright abandoned, right? I think the most famous example of this is one of the Duke Nukem sequels, which I guess in the end did wind up released. And like, the thing is that just, it doesn't matter, right? It's so clear that pretty much any tech that's available, especially if you have a demo, right, like, can deliver on the original vision of the project. It's really just when you start changing stuff partway through, like, it seems to me hard enough to make a game that maybe you don't want to add extra difficulty to that. But again, like, the thing that bugs me about this is that the Unity thing was like, okay, we want to get mad at John Riccitiello again. Sorry, I know I'm ranting for a bit, but welcome to Friday, everybody. Everybody's mad at John Riccitiello, and like, maybe they still have an axe to grind due to his tenure at EA, or maybe they don't like him for his Unity stuff. I mean, it seems to me, in terms of the job of taking Unity public, he delivered on that. But the thing is that, like, the whole runtime fee thing, like, it was really ham-handed way of doing it. It's not something I personally, if I was in charge, I probably wouldn't have done it the way that they did. Although I think on the merits, like, I'm not entirely sure building the engine in such a way, or like building in such a way that like Genshin Impact winds up subsidizing all of the freebies that indie developers are making. That actually seems like a somewhat reasonable way to ensure continued development of that engine. But the merits aside, it's just this idea that being a game developer somehow involves doing something other than like creating an entertainment product that is of high quality as possible for an affordable price. That somehow instead being a game developer is, putting certain opinions out on Twitter and making sure that everybody knows that you're on the right side because you like threw away all the work that you did in Unity and instead rebuilt it in Godot. Like, if it's somebody's private money, if it's somebody's private stuff, like that, it's just a recreation choice, right? Like, it's like, okay, fine. You want to play game developer, this month, listen, that's fine. Mortgage your house again. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna lend to you. I think this is, a very bad idea, but that it's their money. They can decide what they want to do with it. But the thing is, they're not doing it with their own money. Either they've got investors or a publishing contract or whatever, and those people had certain expectations in terms of a deliverable. Or worse, they've taken Kickstarter money and, they've basically sold a product that may or may not ever come out. So I've been pretty reluctant to name the game because, the developer behind it, I do actually want to see do well. There's a reason why I backed that project. But I also am quite tired of this idea that, kind of all of us need to sort of fund this like game developer lifestyle. By the way, I am also mad at like I do also get mad at like Larian for some of this stuff too, because I don't know, it's like Larian certainly has a lot of opinions about how games should be made, but they also made a very conscious decision to essentially like abandon, not exactly abandon, but like kind of kick Dragon Commander out the door so that they could make Divinity. And like, I think if EA did that, people would be talking about what a terrible company it is. But because Larian made a game that people like, even if it's not Dragon Commander, which I actually don't think is a bad game. It's basically the game developer version of success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan, right? Like if Larian had fallen apart, everybody would be talking about the hubris of trying to self-publish a game after you burned your audience or something like that. As I said, if it's something like a Kickstarter or an early access, then yeah, for sure. But I'm a Linux guy, so I can't knock indies for moving to open source. Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? Like, I think if you choose to develop a game in Godot, that's fine. I mean, I think there's a big problem for game developers when you realize that one of the ways that they can monetize their games is console support, because I know Godot basically charges you for that through their contracting service, whereas like Unity, you've got your like, this is the thing, right? Like, I actually think Unity makes it a bit easier to have Linux support in your game, but I understand when you say you're an open source guy, like that's not it's not about Linux support. It's about supporting the the open source ecosystem, or possibly free and open source ecosystem. I think that's completely legitimate. But again, I'm sort of like, well, yeah, like make that decision at the start. Like, say, all right, I'm mad at Unity. My next project is going to be in Godot. And then, of course, there's going to be a bunch of like tweets that you put out. Hey, how do I do this basic thing in Godot? But again, like it's, developers are going to keep doing this stuff until the customers vote with their wallets, right? I don't know how many people actually said, I'm really mad. I'll actually go so far as to say, I didn't even tell the developer with that Kickstarter. I do sort of feel that I should have at the time said, is like, I'm actually kind of upset that, your game is already delayed and that you don't seem to care. You care more about participating in this boycott than than actually delivering the product that you promised. So yeah, well, I mean, Slay the Spire 2, I don't think had a whole lot invested in it. Also, I seem to recall that Slay the Spire was originally a custom engine, so I don't know how much they gave up to do that switch to Godot. But yeah, I mean, that's a decent example. There's certainly big names who are well respected for doing it. But personally, I actually I don't assign a lot of value on that particular choice myself.
Not coming?
Not really my
Also, hello,
jam,
Underwater Monk.
picnics. But you have fun. Spinning a new song anyway. Rather focus on that.
I know for sure it was being developed on Unity. I just don't know how far they got before they switched to Godot. Yeah, I'll confess I've not been crazy about how it's been like organized. But yes, I will be reading A Christmas Story tomorrow afternoon, which incidentally is probably going to be the same one that I read on the 25th. But you'll just get it. You'll get it with both barrels if you attend tomorrow.
Glad you're here. I need your help cooking.
I just came here to eat.
Jambalaya. Come on. You can stir the meat?
Soy meat. Okay. Dunno. Maybe Joss would be more help.
Joss did her bit. Just grab the damn spoon and start stirring.
This an ancient Ward family secret?
Uh-huh. Onions, paprika, thyme. Just need to mince some celery and garlic. But you stir, please. Stir.
I'm stirring.
Bet my socks
How's,
you've never had better.
Randy
jambalaya.
holding up?
He's looking for his old self. Physically, though. It'll be a long road before he's back to full health.
And, mentally? That was some experience.
What Harris did to him, fucked as this might sound, might have helped the kid. Could be wrong, but feels like a clean break for him.
Honestly, thought you were kidding about the cook-off. The Joss had sweat away in the kitchen. Wow.
How? Joss doesn't know the first thing about cooking. Actually, I like to torture foodstuffs. Haven't had many opportunities lately.
Don't mean to spoil a nice day, but I gotta ask. What about Peter Pan?
You're asking if I killed him. We'll talk later, okay?
Sure. No pressure. It's just you know.
I know.
So, question is, how do you feel about the lighting and assets mostly looking the same on UE games these days? That's the main thing that bugs me, as stupid as it might be.
All right. Think you've stirred enough?
I'll wait till the
Mind grabbing
dialogue's
the
done.
rice
But
from the kitchen?
Yes, sir.
I actually think that's a pretty reasonable complaint. Like, you know, in the end, right? If you're a consumer of games, if you're paying for a product, right? There's no argument with taste.
Randy's always been that way. But I'm sure this didn't help none. You know, his father was a difficult man too. That's exactly what I told him. But I always got the same speech back. Nobody cares about these kids who don't exactly fit the mold. In those words, yeah.
That's Maddie.
Wanted to
Nice.
tear my hair out every time I heard him. And when can I visit again?
How you doing, Joss?
I'll call you back later. Really nice of you to come.
Thanks for having me over.
I should be thanking you.
Looking good, Joss.
Really think so? Thanks.
I believe the jambalaya guy you're referring to is River. It's the exact same material as his pants, and I can't figure out if it's next level drip or just dumb.
How's Randy?
Still in the hospital. Still in shock. But he's making
Sorry, Papa
progress.
Scorp. I will answer your question.
Haven't had a chance to tell you just how grateful I am.
It was all River. I just helped.
I just don't know how to repay you. If Randy had...
Don't owe me a thing, Joss.
Thank you. River's in the backyard. He couldn't wait to see you again.
But yeah, so Papa Scarp asks, how do you feel about the lighting and assets mostly looking the same on UE games these days? That's the main thing that bugs me, as stupid as it might be. And as I said, like, you know, as a consumer, you know, you can make the dumbest arguments. I don't think that's a dumb argument, by the way. But like, you know, like in the end, you are allowed to say, like, you could look at Hollow Knight and say, you know, the music is too melancholy, and I don't like that it looks like a cartoon. And I will disagree with it, but if that isn't your thing, like, I am pretty sure, in fact, we could probably go on like Steam and check the reviews right now. There's gotta be some people who just don't care for Hollow Knight. And you know, like, how am I going to argue to them, you know, actually you're wrong and Hollow Knight is brilliant? You know, Hollow Knight can be a wonderful game, and it can also be a game that is very much not for them. I think there's a similar argument to be made for something like Dark Souls, right? Like, I think it to me would be very difficult to argue that, you know, Dark Souls is not a good game, but it is also one that I would be fairly reluctant to recommend to everyone I know. The thing is that, you know, some games that I play, a lot of games that I play actually, are very story based, and so it can be very easy to overlook how the visuals sort of come across. But if you think of something like Cultist Simulator or Book of Hours, one of the things that I think is worth remembering about that game is that is a game with an art style that people will set as their avatars. So it's a very simple art style. It's one that can be easily produced, you know, it is a team of two people with contractors. But like, everybody immediately recognizes what a Cultist Simulator character looks like. And so, you know, a visual style is important even for a game, you know, a game that is primarily focused on the words, like Book of Hours. And I think for games, I think there's a bit of a selection problem in the sense that people are getting Unreal Engine and they may be sold on this idea that they are quote unquote buying. Obviously, if their revenues are less than $1 million, they don't need to pay anything. But I also think probably if your revenues are less than $1 million, you're not going to look like the games you're thinking of when you're using Unreal. But I think people are selecting into a certain visual fidelity, and then of course they also want to make sure that they want to produce a game that's affordable. Maybe they don't even necessarily know what they're getting into, and in the end, there's either a set of defaults or there's I think you mentioned Megascans before. Like in the end, they're doing the best that they can. But the difficulty here is that the original sin, I have to imagine that probably a similar set of problems would exist regardless of the engine that they chose. Obviously Unreal is quite popular, so we're probably going to see the defaults more and more often. But I imagine that there may be a difference in terms of lighting looking the same with something like any difference in lighting is what I'm trying to say is it may be that Unity doesn't make it as easy as Unreal, which means that you don't see the same defaults being used, and so someone's sort of forced to make a decision on that one. But I think in the end, there are always sort of those signature features of the different tools, usually the thing that the tool makes it very easy to do, and then that sort of just translates into some of the sameness that we don't care for. So, in the case of Cyberpunk 2077, you've got a huge team of people specifically trying to realize a certain type of world. If you try to make your, poor man's Cyberpunk 2077, there are two interesting ways that you can do that. So in my view, the interesting way that you can do that would maybe be to set the game in some kind of a 2001: A Space Odyssey setting. So in that case, very clean, very sort of, this is what we're imagining the future sort of looks like. And because there is a functional component about a lot of these spaceships, you can see why a certain amount of repetition would be helpful in these cases. And depending on how well you sell the fantasy in certain circumstances, you can probably get away with it. In fact, I would maybe say compare how Portal 1 looks to Portal 2. So Portal 1 doesn't have the same kind of texture that Portal 2 does. Portal 2 has all of those ruined parts of Aperture Labs. And obviously Valve is not exactly a resource constrained company, but you can really see the extra value going in Portal 2. Both are wonderful games, by the way. Again, I'm not drawing the contrast in order to try and suggest that Portal is something that it isn't. But in this case here, right, I think probably the original sin that you're reacting to with the Unreal Engine is that it can be quite difficult to sit and think about why certain games feel the way that they do. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all. I mean, the thing is that Portal is wonderful and Portal works because the fantasy sort of supports this very sterile environment. And one of what it does, while I don't think they were necessarily setting up for Portal 2, Portal 2 doesn't just get that very worn out sort of look to, it's not like they said let's make Portal 1 look very sterile so we can make the sequel look really worn down. But the advantage that you get out of that is not only do you get sort of that higher quality view of sort of seeing sort of more variety and change in the environment, but of course they incorporate that into the gameplay as well, right? Learning about that white kind of moon dust paint and that being relevant in terms of what areas of the the facility that you can get into with the portals and not. So in that case, they're really making sure that it's not just cool to look at, but that it's actually informing some of the gameplay as well. So, there are definitely ways to make things look much more, much higher quality than. Hello, Adam Smasher Arasaka. Thank you very much for the follow. I will be back into the game for a little bit, but Papa Scorp asked a question that I thought was interesting, and I didn't want to talk over River. But I'm guessing this is your first experience with Cyberpunk 2077, right? But yeah, like I think the thing that's worth kind of considering in these cases here is that there are the set of things that choosing a particular technology will make easier for you to do, right? And I think this is probably why CD Projekt Red made the decision to say, we're not abandoning engine development, but what we're going to do is we're going to take something like the Unreal Engine 5 as a foundation, and what we're going to be working on is manipulating it to achieve the things we want to do, as opposed to having to maintain every single part of this this machine. I actually think it's a reasonable stance for them to have, because if you're an Electronic Arts or a Ubisoft, you're amortizing that engine development over many, many games, but CD Projekt Red isn't exactly cranking them out every year or even every 2 years. And so making sure that they are focusing on expanding, this high quality tool to suit their purposes, as opposed to sort of imposing this cost on maintaining their own tool set. I think probably that's one of the reasons that they did that. But again, the contrast that I would draw is that you also have a bunch of people who have been thoughtful and think about how does this world come across, rather than hand designing every single little object inside of here. How do we make this look like a lived-in house as opposed to a brand new one? And I think what some of the the games that are falling into the traps that you talk about are maybe not thinking as consistently about what makes the world realize the way that it is. And there's an analogy to it in terms of motion pictures, which is what I'm more familiar with. I really liked shooting on location because locations look lived in. If you shoot on a soundstage, you better hope that your art director knows how to make something look like, this, right? Like, I probably wouldn't have thought to put a mattress up against the wall here, but they did. And there's also a fuel canister and, a bunch of presumably, I was going to say pizza boxes, but it looks like this is just foods. It's all foods, in fact. Right. So, this stuff here, somebody needed to decide to put every single item in. If you do that in a movie, you actually have to physically obtain all of those items. And if you don't have them in there, it looks like a soundstage. And so, yeah, in this case here, like, you still want to take advantage of the things that the engine makes easy for you to do. But the drawback is that I think the sort of boomerang for that is because if you don't know that you need to think about certain things, you just wind up with those stereotypical looks. And then, if you realize it, it's too late because, you've already invested the time and effort into the other set of things and you're probably behind schedule, so on and so forth. Anyways, I hope that kind of answered your question, Papa Scorb. It's obviously an opinion rather than something. I'm not involved in game development enough to be able to speak with authority on this, but that's kind of my view on it. Amazingly, it isn't burned yet.
Okay, now this has to bubble and brew. Patio. Grab a chair. And a beer or something else.
It's nice out here.
Hey, Revive Snow. How you doing
Seems
tonight?
all good. Like nothing bad ever happened.
Tell me now about Harris.
I paid him a visit at the hospital.
He's still in a coma?
Yep. In a strange slumber between life and death. An empty shell in a hospital bed.
One shot to the head. Quick and clean.
I had the same thought. It would be so easy. I pressed the gun to his head and remembered something.
River?
How my parents died. Now, I'm sure you want to hear this.
I will actually just say too, like, one of the things I really do like about how good modern technology is, you know, obviously asking the question, he's still in a coma, that's obviously not what the real question from V is. The real question is, like, did you kill the guy? And, like, the look he gives you, right, that recognition in terms of what you're really asking, I like that, right? There's also those moments with Johnny at the end with, you know, with Songbird, right? It's like, you know, you're not even what they want, you know, and he just gives that gesture towards Songbird. Like, the fact that there's that nonverbal communication that can be brought in, and it's just a little bit nicer in terms of raising the quality in terms of storytelling. There's other ways to do it, right? You know, again, referring back to the Book of Hours stuff, but you know, obviously, if you're gonna swing for the fences and make like an enormous game like this, it's nice to be able to see creators having that set of tools to be able to expand the range of expression. It's going all right, Revive Snow. I started late, but I'm happy to. I'm starting to get back to areas that I haven't seen in this game yet, which I'm looking forward to. And then I'll just answer Papa Score before moving on. What I like about bespoke engines is how they are made with a focus on specific features and game feel. So the samey parts of games on those engines is what people enjoyed from the games. Yeah, and I mean, there are a couple of local devs that I talk to who do actually make their own tech, and I respect it a lot. I think for them, it's a little bit like sort of almost, you know, like Renaissance era or earlier painting, where part of the process was even mixing your own pigments, and like to them creating the tech is as much of the process of making games. And of course the drawback here is that you have finite amounts of time, and so the time that you spend creating that tech is time that you don't necessarily make other things. But again, for some of those people, I happen to know, like, that is their creative engine. That is what they get most interested in. Whereas other people really, I mean, if they could avoid programming anything, they would do it, right? They hire people to do that, or they rely on a lot of things that are already implemented so that they just sort of glue the pieces together. And you can make great stuff out of all of those paradigms. It's just a question in terms of what you want to do. So, like, if you don't like crunching numbers, you probably shouldn't make a 4X game. And likewise, if you like writing linear stories, you probably shouldn't make a simulator like RimWorld, where the whole point is that you have this kind of experience generator rather than keeping a hard, like a firm hand on the steering wheel. But it's more of a question in terms of like the set of things that you, to me, actually, this is such a generic way of putting it, but because of the econ background, I always sort of think that, you know, you have sort of your production possibilities frontier, and sometimes that'll just be one person working on a game. Sometimes that'll be a question of a team. And there are lots of configurations, like not an infinite number, but there's more than one configuration that will allow people to make a game for less than, you know, they'll get in terms of at least expected revenue. But not all of those configurations are built equally, right? That sounds very generic, but like, you know, if you assign 0 to marketing, you can't really expect that people will hear about your game and your revenue is like lower. And you can't max out all of the different features either, because then, you know, it's very unlikely that you are going to see a return for the game that you make. But being able to focus on that narrow set of things that you are very good at and you are excited about, and allowing yourself to be guided by what the market seems to want or need, that I do actually think has some potential, right? So Weather Factory is going to focus on narrative games because that is one of the things they're very strong at. They aren't going to make multiplayer games. They're probably not going to make like CCGs, but they are going to make narrative games, whether they are sort of variations on clicker games like Cultist Simulator, or something a little bit more traditional in terms of genres like Traveling at Night. And that's very different from what, I think it's Ludon Studios who make RimWorld. Same engine as the Weather Factory stuff. But in that case, it's not, it's a very different take on narrative, or Layers of Fear for that matter. And again, those teams have, first of all, different numbers of people working on it. They have different priorities. And they also have different talents. So clearly, the Layers of Fear team, who are using Unreal now, they obviously were very, very good at creating assets. So good, in fact, that you actually would see the exact same assets being used in their follow-up game. It wasn't Beholder, it was Observer. But they look great, right? And they felt appropriate for the sections that they were in. So again, it's more of the question of finding that match to what you do well. Another example I would take, and this will be the last one, Tom Francis. So, he's done Gunpoint, he's done Heat Signature, he's done Tactical Breach Wizards. Those are not all of his games, but those are like the 3 big ones that he's done. And he has the wonderful trait, which I actually think is kind of a secret weapon for financial success in some cases, is he's quite funny. Like he knows how to tell a joke and deliver laughs in a game. I mean, for crying out loud, he's got a game called Tactical Breach Wizards. That is like, that's got to be like a certain floor of sales just having a name like that, right? And the trailer is hilarious. So, in that sense, each of those games has a unique visual style. But, you're probably not playing Tactical Breach Wizards for the visual fidelity. You are playing it for the somewhat absurd premise and the fact that he kind of recognized that one of the things he really liked about like XCOM and Into the Breach is that when you deliver, like when you have a good turn in that, you feel like a genius. And so what he did was he made a game where it was much easier and you could sort of like redo turns and such so that you could set up those like genius moments. That is, not to oversimplify the game, but that's basically it. It's the I feel like a genius simulator over and over and over again. And so in that case, he doesn't have Firaxis behind him, right? He's going to be making something smaller than XCOM 2, but he's able to really focus it down to that narrow set of things that that create the experience that he's wanting people to have. And then again, he's got that sense of humor. So instead of it being, the special operations executive behind enemy lines in World War II, very serious game, it's this idea of, these also it's almost like the slow horses of the wizarding world, coming in to save the day. I'm looking forward to the stream, Revive Snow. Anyways, sorry, I know I'm filibustering the game a lot.
What happened?
Old man had a farm, like Harris's dad. But when business took a turn, well... My parents managed to open a small grocery. We lived on the floor above.
A loud noise woke us one night. They wanted cash. Register was empty, so they stormed upstairs, forced us all to kneel, and demanded my dad tell him where he hid the money. Mostly, I remember my mom crying. My dad swore they'd found all we had. One was gassed out of his mind.
He fired first.
blew half my dad's skull off.
Jesus, River. I'm sorry.
He was erratic. Went rabid. Handed me his gun and ordered me to aim it at my mom's head. I can still see her tear-filled eyes at the end of that barrel to this day.
What did you do?
Nothing. I stood frozen. Finally, he just snatched the gun back. Shot my mother and they left. Police never caught him. That was why I joined the force. I couldn't agree with scum like that roaming free. No one to hunt him.
It is D-Pain. Really good to see you. Thank you for bringing all of your lovely viewers. I've been talking a lot instead of playing the game, so for those of you who do not like the system talk, this may be one to pass. But I don't want to. I do not want to discourage your viewers from watching. Thank you for the raid. What were you playing tonight? And for those of you, actually, I'm going to tab out for just a quick second so I can let all of you know about a couple of streamers. I know It Is D-Pain just arrived, but I should at least talk about Revived Snow first. So Revived Snow is a wonderful fellow Canadian broadcaster. Was playing Peak recently, which I actually find quite fun to watch. And on top of that, we have got It Is D-Pain, who was playing Silk Song tonight. Have you been doing a lot of Silk Song lately? I don't think I've seen you play, but that obviously isn't a... definitely isn't a... I mean, I only get to watch rarely, and apparently I come in when you just finish, so... but anyways, welcome everybody. I hope you are doing well. Please do follow those broadcasters if you haven't checked them out yet. Revive Snow is really interesting because they are a camless, voiceless streamer, which I always used to joke about until I watched their channel, and it's like, this actually really works. And then D-Pain, I know mostly through his podcasting, but I have watched everything from the dungeons in D&D, I think that's what you play, to cooking streams, to occasionally some of the video games I catch too.
Was Joss there too? Saw all this?
I think when she looks at me, she still sees that boy holding a gun to her mom's head.
Can't tell you how sorry I am.
So when I stood over Harris in that hospital bed, barrel to his brow, I was that kid again. But I was also the junkie who shot my parents.
I understand.
I've ended a few lives in my time, but never like that. Never an execution. Slipped out of the hospital quick. Told myself the case was closed.
That's good. But what now? You're not going back to the PD.
PI has a nice ring to it. Who knows? We'll see.
Uncle River, you said you'd play with us.
You promised.
All right, all right. Let's go. V, join us?
What are we gonna play, Uncle River?
You'll see. Dorian, we're playing! Yeah, Big Trouble in Haywood. Grab your set.
Well, what do you think?
Always wanted to try a game like this.
Well, well. Nice firepower there.
This is no time to get distracted. We can't let that filth get away.
Who? Oh, well, look at you.
V, allow me to introduce Captain Joan McClane and Lieutenant Henry Callahan. They're our precinct's best and brightest. Wouldn't want to get in their way.
I always work alone. no exceptions. Even for you. Yeah, me too.
Ooh, I've heard of cops like you. The lone wolf type.
That's right. Thorns in their commander's side. Rebels who play by their own rules.
I've been suspended 1 time, retired 2 times, and kicked off the force 3 times. I'm getting too old for this. But something always drags you back. The city needs me.
Got a crash course? Anything I ought to know?
The entire city is sick with crime and corruption. Lawlessness rules the streets. And we're no saints either. Even the police are haunted by the sins of their past. But the city's without hope. No one else would ever dare face El Chamuco and Diablado. Oh, he's the worst. But I know we can beat him. The city's most evilest mastermind ever.
All right, let's get to it.
Right. All we gotta do is track down El Chamuco and Diablado and take out his lackeys along the way.
He'll pay for his crimes.
We'll play like 2 teams, us and the kids, but we work toward the same objective. The team with the best result wins.
You don't stand a chance.
AV, just go easy, okay? It's their favorite game.
Sure.
I'm gonna kick these kids' ass.
Oh, there he is! Get him! The city's mine! You'll never take her from me!
He's fast, but not fast enough to escape justice. Watch out! It's cronies! He's hit! He's hit! Take that! Next round! Next round! This way. It must be their rat-infested hideouts. I could smell the moral decay from a mile off. Quiet. Too quiet.
It's a trap! They were waiting for us!
That all you got?
Nuh-uh. Watch this! He's hit! He's hit! Ah! Behind us! Hey, I have better aim. Okay, that's all of them. But next time we gotta be faster. Out of the way, citizen! Obstructing justice is punishable by law. This is your last warning!
Easy there, Captain! I'm just passing through!
He's hit! He's hit! Take that! Not far now. Don't charge in there, Callahan. I can't afford to use one of my best men. Don't worry about me. He's hit! He's hit!
This is just like Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Not half bad.
Is that all you got?
Nuh-uh. Watch this!
I think we got them all.
But it's not over yet.
Some last words?
Fine. Out with it, scumbag! I want to see you squirm.
No! Your last words!
Oh, come on. Another ambush?
Okay, so now...
Lunch is ready.
But Mom, you almost had him.
Oh, you'll get him next time.
At least we beat the grown-ups. We're the best.
Delivery, transport, and logistics. Promotion. Use the delivery services of... Devilry, transport, and logistics to To order a surprise gift for your loved one. Unique designs, personalized craftsmanship, and reliable home delivery. All at a bargain price. Thank you for participating in our promotion. Please provide the necessary information for us to process your order. NC Wheels, select a miniature car model. We can do an Arch Nazare, Mizutani Shion, Villafort Alvarado. Enter a personal message for your loved one. Enter the delivery address, Pan Am Palmer, Badlands, Rocky Ridge Plains. I think this is the drawback about me not normally doing, well, actually it's not a drawback, but like I don't do romance options, so I didn't even realize this was in the game. Thank you for placing an order with Devilry Transport and Logistics. Your order will be delivered to the provided address within 2 business days.
Thanks for letting them win. They had fun.
Ah, they're great kids. It's no problem.
Seems they took a liking to you, too.
Hey, food's on the table. So, was your game fun?
Awesome! We kicked their big butts!
The bad guys?
Huh? Oh, yeah, the bad guys, too.
Time to see if this tastes as good as it smells.
Unemployment's being good to you. You seem good.
River's discovering the joys of family life.
That and police duty. Never a good mix. This here's a way to get some of those years back.
I haven't seen him this untroubled in a while. What about you, V? You got a family? Or just relations?
Used to see family as baggage. Something that'd hold me back. You know, career first. Didn't do any better for not having one, though.
Nothing's more important to me than my kids. I've made mistakes. Life's gone off the rails sometimes. But I had my kids. I got my kids.
Joss, you see me being a parent ever?
I mean, I don't exactly look like good mom material myself, so...
Yes! Who says yes?
I do.
He raised his hand himself.
V, are you seeing someone? Involved? Fess up, please.
Well, that's decided.
Got an 1199. Officer needs backup.
Come on, pull you out of this ambush.
I'll actually say I didn't have dinner, so this looks really good.
Thanks, Joss.
Yeah, thanks. Whew, situation was getting dicey.
That's what partners are for. You were about a hair's breadth away from having to look at photo albums. Here we are.
What are we looking at?
A water tower. Great spot.
Great for what?
Having a drink, shooting the shit. This way. Oh, fuck. Gate's stuck again. Gonna fix it one of these days. Let me give you a boost. Climb over, open it from the other side.
Yeah, okay. Good.
See ya.
Just push. Seems easier to open from that side.
Ugh. Okay.
On our way. Area's not bad, actually. Unlikely to dazzle. Make a good first impression, though.
Certainly no Corpo Plaza.
No. But life's livable here. Know of worse places to raise kids.
Randy's problems with the law, those didn't pop out of thin air.
True. But Randy takes after his old man. He'd find trouble in a nicer neighborhood, too.
I really do like being able to see the traffic like that.
Apparently the worst city between the Atlantic and the Pacific. But I sure do love this view. Find it calming.
Scrapers actually seem pretty majestic out here. Not seeing what goes on inside.
Memories?
High stress, dirty backstabs, kind of pressure that gives you ulcers. Somehow, I just don't miss it.
Lies! Got something for you.
Wow. What's the occasion?
Aiming to close the door. A stage of my life is done. This thing holds too many memories. Won't let me do that. It'll serve you better.
Thank you.
Just promise you won't blow your foot off.
Oddly specific request.
Josh's husband did it. Drunk. This very spot.
Which made this your special spot. Family landmark?
Something of the kind. Now for the highlight of the evening. Up for a drink?
Got some lemonade? Anything in that vein?
Lemon? Well, sure, but... Seriously?
It was supposed to be a family dinner. I wasn't expecting a hard lubrication. To friendship.
To friendship. Sure you don't mind me drinking? Probably lots more.
No, you kidding? Your spot this. Your customs.
You'll hang with me, though. I can be awfully charming when drunk.
We'll see.
Where did I put that?
Randy shows up. Get out of my room.
Ugh. Colonizing the moon, and there's still no cure for hangovers.
Well, at least we had fun yesterday.
Yeah. But now I gotta roll. Promised Joss I'd take her to see Randy. No rush either. Get your sea legs back. Take as much time as you need.
Apologize to Joss for me. We kinda dined and dashed yesterday.
And left puke all over the bathroom?
Oh, shit. Sure you're good to drive?
Please. Former NCPD. I'm a pro on Hangover Highway. I'll be fine.
Tell Randy, hey.
Will do. See you later, V.
It is kind of funny that they apparently didn't account for the possibility that they give the non-alcoholic option, but they're still treating it like you got drunk the same day. Hello, V. How's life been treating you? Next question, please. And what's with that attitude? Been thinking, would you like me to come visit? I have too many apartments, so absolutely come by my mega building apartment. Please, let's meet at my place on the north side. Of course, let's hang out at my Japantown pad. Easiest yes of my life. Come swing by the Glen for sure. How about downtown, my Corpo Plaza place? Or that even a real question? Come see me in Dogtown. Corpo Plaza it is. I'm already on the road. See you soon.
Not intruding, I hope. The generator. You remember, right?
Need me to fix it now?
Yeah, now. Then we go to the hospital. I'd rather have everything.
Oh, this car.
What's up with the generator?
I don't know, but
Oh god, I don't even remember which one the... I probably should have remembered what... I think it was the Vigilante. Too many. Next time I will remember to favorite. I think this was the one.
electricity's out. And then his room needs tidying.
I'm supposed to do that?
I know how it sounds, but this one time,
So obviously some of this is just passing time. I will do the Takamura one if I clear out the log of everything else, but we may get the Judy mission before we finish the before we get to Takamura. Speaking of, hey OV, everything okay? Yeah, I'm good. Something happened? I'm alright. Thanks again. You know, for what? You're a good friend. Just want you to know that. Maiko still hasn't called. Should be any time now. Let you know when I get something fresh. I got my driving lessons from the person who hit me outside work. This is the point where we have like a really big fight, and then the car arrives just in time to be annoying. Leave the area to end the date.
Hello, V.
Wait a minute, were there candles here before?
How's it going with Rogue?
It's going. Knock on wood.
So, things are settled?
For now, we're good at avoiding each other, and that's fine with me.
No complications with Kang Tao?
So far, so good. They sent another patrol around the station, but they're dead set that it was Raffen that downed their AV and attacked Hellman's guards. Station's proprietor's sticking to that version, so we're covered for now.
Listen, what if I told you the FIA approached me about a gig?
The FIA? As in the NUSA's intelligence agency? No shit.
I mean, that's old news, right?
Guess you must have heard Space Force 1 crashed in Dogtown.
There was talk, rumors, conspiracy theories. What of it?
This FIA agent asked me for help. And now you're talking to the chum who rescued the president of the NUSA.
God damn! Truly, you've outdone yourself, V. Secret agent. The one thing missing from your resume. Just as long as you know, governments, heads of state, all that. Even if you think they owe you for some reason, it usually boils down to them having something on you. So stay vigilant, okay?
Was in Dogtown for a time. It's right next to Night City, but it's like a whole nother world.
Dogtown, huh? I think about it like a mistake. A regret. Nothing to do but wall it off. Forget about it. Wait until it withers and dies.
Yeah, Night City half pretends that Dogtown doesn't exist. But nobody can convince me there's not some kind of fucked up symbiosis between them.
Like a half-aborted Vegas for corpos and gangoons. What happens in Dogtown stays in Dogtown. Convenient.
Come here.
Press F to cuddle.
Oh, stop.
It is actually very funny to hear the vehicle smash outside.
How's it going?
Depends on what the it is. And what you want to hear.
Oh, you know, the huge. I longed for you, V.
Oh? I see you've already played out this conversation all on your own. Force of habit.
Pan Am.
I did, though. I missed you.
This is actually kind of nice.
I could sit here with you all night.
It's the morning.
I think I'd like that.
Let's talk a
So
little while longer before I have to Delta somewhere.
I was trying to avoid that just because I think
You
we've
have no
already
idea how
exhausted the
much I
chat.
needed that.
So I'm assuming this doesn't really change the... Thanks for coming by.
City of Dreams. I'd gladly kick the balls off the idiot who thought that one up.
How's it going with Rogue?
It's going.
So, things are settled?
For now, we're good at avoiding each other. and that's fine with me.
Ha!
Slick moves, V.
I'm trying, because it says like leave to end the date, I'm trying to avoid like just like running. I'm trying to avoid like running out of the I'm trying to avoid like running out of the apartment screaming, but what if his metal fingers get caught in her hair? That wouldn't feel great. Well, I do have the like the like fisticuffs, the ones that sort of like break apart, so I think my last option.
Do you have any thoughts?
I've exhausted my thoughts. What do you want from me? My last option is to just go to sleep. Which I'm actually mildly tempted to do.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
What? Don't, you can't stay. Well, we'll at least get a smooch out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I actually kind of like the idea of, like, you know, obviously the whole purpose of this is just to hang out and spend time with someone. It's a little weird to like, I mean, it says hang out, but like we kind of already did. Presumably this just, yeah, extends the time, which this will actually be slightly funny if I, right then, could I have my old outfit back, please? They also took away my... What is this? I do not remember. And then I don't think we had a hat. Okay, so it does say hang out with Panam, which we already did, and I don't think I have any further options, so get me out of here. Hey, did you hear about that psycho who kidnapped kids and sent them somewhere out in the Badlands? Christ, what a sicko. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Raffin. Yeah, really ugly affair, that. Managed to help solve it with a badge from NC. One of the kids was his nephew. Well, aren't you just full of surprises? I can imagine that must have been quite the ordeal. Held those boys in stalls like cattle. Glad you didn't see that. I never told you this. Okay, fuck. I've never told this to anyone because I hate remembering it, but when I was little, my best friend was captured by Raffins. It was an accident, and she would have ended up a complete goner if Cassidy hadn't come to the rescue. Some really bad things were about to happen, but Cass pulled out his revolver and the dust settled within seconds. The kid's uncle? Who is he, anyway? River Ward. He's a little like Cassidy, I suppose, minus the whole cowboy thing. Self-possessed, unshakable, and a man of principle. Maybe I don't know him all that well, but there's one thing I know for sure. I could come to him with anything, he'd take it seriously. I don't know any officers, but I haven't exactly heard good things about the police in Night City. Good to know there are exceptions. You always seem to draw the good folks to your side, V. That's a rare thing. Hey there, good looking. I had a terrific time with you, as I always do. I hope we can get together again sometime soon. Sooner the better. Precisely why you and I get along so well. Until next time. Less than 3. But yeah, I actually also kind of like that as a nice, like, so I'm going to guess that probably people tend to do more romance options than I do in games, but one of the things I actually kind of like about it too is you get this nice little recap sort of for free in it, which I think is sort of nice. So like obviously third option, throw out the window. You know, so like obviously it's been a really long time since we've done any of the Dogtown material, but that certainly wasn't unpleasant to sort of just, you know, talk about some of the old stuff, right? So, and I don't know, it's nice. In my view, it's kind of nice to just have a world inhabited by characters that are more than just something that you sort of use as a means to an end. So that was, I don't know, for me, it was a nice little, no. There we go. Yeah, I thought that was a nice little diversion. So I'm just taking a minute here to clear out any duplicates. So, oh no, yeah, they're both plus pluses. They both have 3. I'm pretty sure this is already non-lethal, but I will at least clear out the... Right, so any duplicates, I'm definitely going to Get rid of those. And then any, at the very least, I want to like mouse over the ones that are giving me new item indicators. The only problem is I believe, I don't know if this always puts like the same item beside each other. So like these I'd count as different just because they look different. Trying to see if I have any. Okay, actually this is not a bad example, so that gives me some hope that I'll see duplicates beside each other. I realize this isn't the most exciting thing, but we'll do it once, and then we don't need to... Well, I guess we technically don't do it once, but I'll do it now, and then I won't need to spend as much time on it next time. Obviously, here, I'm not really going to bother with... two different descriptions. There's got to be some kind of... some kind of difference. What was I going to say? The... Nah, I lost it. Sorry. I probably should also consider favoriting some of this stuff. All right, and this, I don't need this kind of negativity in my life. I'm just going to leave those aside. All right, let's see what awaits us in the undiscovered area. But yeah, so obviously I've been doing a little bit more chat than any like major events inside the game, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised by some of the story stuff that that's been coming up. Because obviously the majority of time that I spend on this is usually shooting people. Yeah, no problem at all, Papa Scorp. I hope everything's solved. I know you're watching the, or well, I don't know, but if I recall correctly, you're watching this while at work, so I totally understand. Oh, I might gonna have to listen to Gary the Prophet again.
I'm coming at you. They wish to rule, to control your executives, your leaders, but they are not human. No. But then what, you ask? Reptilians! You can recognize them by their cold blue eyes. Creatures born centuries ago on the Antarctic ice sheet. They hide their true faces under masks of human skin. Two-faced snakes, oppressors of humanity!
You think President Myers is one of them?
Why so many shootings? Why do countless die on the streets as the police do nothing? What human would condemn his brethren to such suffering? And why?
I believe we get to talk to Takamura now.
And where did this filth slither out from, you ask?
Antarctica, you said that already.
Today they hide amidst the snow and ice of the South Pole, step by step usurping our ground as creation's chosen. Millions of years ago they evolved from dinosaurs to become the world's first advanced supply. So this story of biotech built the formula for biggies. That's the primary source.
Where are you heading off to?
Your car. We learned that if they could commit computers and growing their own, they could have a total without trying to run refineries.
But yeah, Papa Scorp, just I don't know. You guys have access to like GPT-5, right? That'll sort it right out. Actually, for all I know, the place you're working is serving the.
true, but it doesn't change the fact that every year there are more crop failures, more extinctions, more plagues. Biotechnica today spends more money researching biological countermeasures to beat the competition than they do on growing crops or even on marketing. So you might want to think about that the next time you head down to your local All Foods to pick up.
Do you have time? Panem, hey, been missing you lately. Got any time for a little... Really? This isn't gonna go away, is it? Alright. See, miss you too, but right now I don't have a moment to spare, truly. I'll let you know as soon as I do. No rush.
It is good to see you, V.
Seems pretty, secluded here.
It is appropriate for such a secret meeting.
What the hell happened? Look close to awful.
You see a man robbed of his implants, money and dignity. Look well. It is not all bad. I am mostly unnoticed in the streets.
Friend you mentioned here?
Oda? He should be here any moment now.
Willing finally to give me the spec on him?
He's Hanako-sama's bodyguard.
Hanako Arasaka's? From the carrier at anchor in the bay. Saburo's daughter.
Yes, and if he believes you, we'll next meet with her.
Just hope he doesn't blindly follow Arasaka protocol.
What protocol?
Unwritten rules. Had him here in Night City. Could be different in Japan. If IA got even a whiff of treason, they prep an enhanced interrogator and send 2 elite squads with air support to grab the suspect.
I understand the point you seek to make. But if Oda has ulterior motives, he will need no elites, no air support, no one but himself. Trust me, I have seen him work.
That's supposed to be reassuring.
If it helps you stay calm, you can gaze at the sky. By God, huh? A good sign. He is usually camouflaged.
Takemura-san.
Oda.
Is this him? Your thief?
He's my witness, V.
Can't speak for myself, you know.
So speak. I have been told you know things.
Not gonna like what I'm about to say. I need a guarantee I'm safe here.
You have it.
V, you can trust Oda.
Alright then. Konpeki Plaza. I was there the night it happened. Looked like your typical family quarrel until Yorinobu lunged at Saburo and started choking.
Silence! Not one word more. You will bring death to your door.
But it is the truth. Hanako-sama must hear it.
My one concern is to keep her safe in this city forgotten by the gods.
Is she in danger?
Now? No. Yet during the parade to honor Arasaka-sama, most certainly.
I bring you this witness to his murder. And you dare to worry about a silly parade? Fool!
Correct. Unlike you, I have not yet failed to keep my oath to do my duty.
You will regret those words.
The only thing I regret is that I came here to meet you.
There is a price on your head. I do you a favor now, by not cutting it off and taking it straight to Yorinobu-sama. What would you do now, were you in my place? I do no favors. I would deliver you ahead to Yorinobu-sama.
Oda, you are an Arasaka soldier. This is not a request. We remind you of your duty to be truthful to your superiors.
I did not come here to be lectured to by a thief.
Wasn't always what I am now. And your friend here didn't always look like a bum. Feel free to join us. Plenty of room at the bottom of the heap. Not enticed? Then do your duty. Tell Hanako what nobody else wants to hear.
That should be to him. As you say, food for thought.
Just gotta tell it like it is sometimes.
It is a shame. Nothing will come of it.
How come?
It should have been obvious. Oda is a perfectionist. He most fears to make a mistake.
Good fucking riddance. 1 Arasaka whack job is already plenty.
Fine friend there. Got any more?
Alas, only him.
Well, can't say we didn't try.
We tried, yes, and obtained something useful.
How do you figure that?
What Oda said. They returned to Tokyo after the parade. Do you not see? The parade. It is our chance, perhaps. If, somehow, we can get to Hanako-sama. We must do a proper reconnaissance first. We'll need a precise map of Japantown.
Hold on.
It is your turn to call on friends. Do you know a fixer who could help?
Hang on. Not so fast. Make it sound as easy as hacking a schism. You said yourself, Hanako's got the tightest security in all Night City.
Correct. That is why I wish for you to contact us with the local fixer.
No, just a fixer dame. Wakaku Akata. Runs a pachinko parlor on Jig Street.
We must pay this woman a visit.
She's looking for a future husband.
Will you join me?
Sure, why not?
Your gift reminds me of our first conversation over the hood of that Thornton Colby C-125. Glad I could make you smile. Have an amazing day, V. Mine already is, thanks to you.
Jig Street. What is this name?
Just a Night City name.
Beware, you mock me too often.
Any idea what's going on at Arasaka?
Only what I can surmise from what I see on TV. Yorinobu and his puppets grin at the cameras and insist that everything is under control. But the wider the smile, the bigger the lies.
You alright, Goro?
Yes. Why the sudden concern?
I believe that is in fact the processor I have, Papa Scorp. But I suspect you already knew that.
Have shared interests, you and I. Or have you forgotten?
Certainly not.
Good. Because catching lead in Night City is easier than catching a cold. And I need you alive.
I am alive and well. As you can see, you should worry about yourself.
Would anybody like to recommend to Papa Scorp to turn it off and turn it on again? I believe that is the standard recommendation in these cases. Definitely not an annoying one for people to hear, and definitely the first time they will hear that. The turning off part works. It works fantastically. It doesn't. In fact, it does it even without instruction. So I am curious, like, what happens in a situation like that? Is it really just like, well, you know, it's dead. There's nothing we can do about this until you buy a new machine, or is there are you gonna deal with the belching smoke and, well, I guess remotely you can't, but. So, just 7.5 hours of flipping the switch, and then.
Hey, you looking for some company tonight?
This reminds me of Outlast Trials.
How I miss the sound.
Rogue, my sweet. This has got to be a misunderstanding. I've no idea who jumped your team, but the Claws? No, never. My boys know their place. I'm sorry, got to go. I have guests. V, so nice to see you. And your charming friend is?
Happen to be working together. That's all.
Takemura Goro です。岡田さん、お会いできて光栄です。
Ah, a true gentleman. Ah, shame only that he's being hunted by all Arasaka's tin soldiers. And you, V, bring him to my door. Give me one reason why I shouldn't notify the proper authorities right away.
Caution.
Caution?
World's most wanted Japanese fugitives hiding out in Night City, and you got nothing to do with it? Please. We know they're thinking. They'll link you to us faster than you can finish puffing on that cig.
So tell me, and mark well I still have my phone at hand.
Need intel on the parade that's scheduled to come through Japantown.
So it's Arasaka again. What I fail to understand is, why come to me? Did Mr. Deshawn not come to the phone?
That's funny, Papa Scorp. But that also sounds kind of frustrating to deal with. So I hope you get through a reasonably stress-free session.
What is it?
Come on. Got your finger on the hood's pulse. Know everything. Parade honoring Saburo Arasaka? You're prepping in some way, no doubt.
Won't see me dressed in mourning.
今なんて
But the rest is true. Everything's on the shards.
Oh, fair, yeah.
How much does this cost? My pockets are empty.
Clearly. My gift to you, it's free.
Okada-san, what is free often proves most costly.
Gonna take them or not?
For free? You sure?
Got my reasons. But patience, I got none. Japantown. Whole district is to be sealed off for the parade. Dashi platforms, the main attraction. They'll fly this way, high above street level. Along the parade route, balconies, footbridges, and vantage points affording good views. Hanako Arasaka, the guest of honor, will deliver her speech from the largest float. She'll do this exactly here. Got no idea about security, but given recent events, expect it to be tight. Our last parade? Arasaka undercovers infiltrated the crowd. Not to mention a smattering of sharpshooters, drones. And if that's not enough fun for one day, a net runner, one at least. They use the city CCTV to observe everything. Main access point, here. It's an old automated control center. If you ask me, most useful by far. At the end, the floats will float out of Japantown, and we'll be left with trash up to our elbows that no one will collect. That's it. It's all I have.
It must be enough.
Then go. Be on your way.
Not at all curious what we're going to all this trouble for.
Blissful ignorance has served me well. In any case, I'll find out soon, won't I?
Sorry to hear that, Bob. I'm glad that this is at least a step down from the intensity.
Thanks, Wakako.
We appreciate this, Okada-san.
I think we can try one more round of road trace because I'm probably going to have to wrap it up from here. But let's see if tonight is the night that I get the high score. Oops, didn't mean to do that, but... The one bit of good news is I do not remember what the high score I needed was. I remember it was like, I think it was double digits that I missed last time. So at least this time I can't be disappointed if it doesn't turn out, or I can't get stressed if I'm close. Although I'd say at this point, probably I don't need to worry until I'm on like level 4. If I am not mistaken, most of this is like just a reference to some of the... Seventh time was the giant. Remind me to DM you next time I have streaming problems. But yeah, so far as I can tell, most of this is just having a laugh at some of the bugs that were in Witcher 3 originally, but having never played Witcher 3 in its current form, I can't speak to the inside jokes. Yeah. I'm going to try one more time. So, as you can see, right, a mere 32 away from winning last time. I was pretty upset about that, but something suggests to me I'm not this is not the night for me. Maybe next week, who knows. I'm just happy for a chance to play this again. I have heard of Devil Daggers, but I've never really played it. That other message, I'm probably going to have to wait until I'm out of this game. I feel like Devil Daggers had like a really big moment on Twitch, because at least in terms of my little narrow corner, it sort of felt like, damn it, okay. The game has one achievement, and to unlock it, you need to survive 500 seconds. You've been playing it on and off for years, and you're high. Yep, no, I'm familiar with that style. All right, this is clearly not my night for Roach Race.
A delightful, mature woman. This information, it could be just what we need. But I will try to investigate further. I will stay here some time and call some associates. The moment I learn something new, I will let you know.
All right. Oop.
Stay safe, Goro.
You as well. Until next time.
So I believe we have well and truly... Oh, okay.
Got something that'll keep you.
Yo, ever try rainbow poppers? Purple haze? Got every color under the sun.
Again, if this is Gary the Prophet, I wish there was an option to just turn it off. Well, that's what you want to do, right? You want to recover it? So maybe just for clarity, obviously there wasn't like a ton in terms of like major shooting missions or anything like that. Just for maybe the benefit of those who didn't see the playthrough before Phantom Liberty released. I'd gotten somewhat close to, but didn't. I never got to the actual parade, so I think I may have done Judy's mission. I'm trying to remember. But I think after that, I don't believe there's anything... Oop.
Hey, V. Michael called. Before sundown. Out front of the Mega Tower. Gonna be there?
Of course I will.
See you then.
But yeah, I believe that's the last sort of... I think that's like the last familiar bit, and everything else in the game will be something I haven't experienced before. At least that's my recollection. It has been a while, so... but I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing... So far as I can tell, there are multiple endings, one of which I believe is in Phantom Liberty. But I am actually kind of eager to see how this finishes. It's been a fun ride, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see where they'll take all of this. Oh boy, this fun bit. Yes, wonderful. Hello, fellow kids. We've got real streamers in the game.
And what hides underneath, you ask? Reptilians? I answer you, no! Not reptilians, but werewolves. At sunset, they strip off their clothes and dance nakedly, giving in to an animalistic ecstasy. Then, once they've transformed into the fanged beasts, they set off on the hunt, hungry for human flesh. Dozens of miles they cover in the darkness, with ferocious speed, like arrows in the night. And the cause behind these monstrous horrors? Years ago, a ship from Alpha Centauri crash-landed in the Badlands. Legend tells that it carried a
I will say,
highly sought
the
after
one
by
thing
the
that I will
vampire
say
elite
for
in our
the,
Saka.
like,
It could transform Suburo's enemies into
the,
werewolves.
at least the benefit of the,
But the crash.
there's like the, what was it? It was like the Jesse Cox one or something.
Put you 6 feet under.
What was kind of fun about that one, at least, was you had something to do. Like, you know, the guy who's like Mr. Stud is, or whatever, like bargain basement one.
Shit talk nomads, and that's what you get.
But yeah, like at the very least, that one gives you something to do, right? And it's actually kind of funny. So you've got the guy with his malfunctioning implant freaking out, and you need to get there with a timer, and they just happen to like put all of the like the traffic in front of you with this exquisite timing up to and including a school bus. So at least that one, again, I think being funny kind of gets you a certain mileage. But instead of it being like, okay, the game is, the alert's not going to go away, so I have to sit down, but now I just need to hear some guy ranting at me for a bit. It's sort of like, okay, let me put the game on pause. Like, I realize it's kind of rich coming from me who does put the game on pause to like rant about stuff to you, but at the very least, it's something of a response to something that's happening inside of chat. Whereas in this case, it's sort of like, okay, game, I guess you need to show that you got the right cast for this. And I don't know, it's not as interesting as at least giving me something to do in the game related to the celebrities they want to bring. But I'll admit too, like I like the Delamain mission, but the parts of the Delamain mission that I don't care that much for are when like GLaDOS makes an appearance. The same way that, I can take or leave some of the advertising in this, but the one that always feels a little funny to me is like Milfgard, because it's like, okay, well, CD Projekt Red seems to feel the need to remind me that they made a very popular game as opposed to letting this stand on its own 2 feet. And I don't know, I just sort of feel like this game has enough going for it that they don't need to, do to the inside references or celebrity appearances that, obviously celebrity's a bit rich unless you're Keanu Reeves or Idris Elba, but I just feel that they don't need to do this sort of stuff. Like I feel like this game is sufficiently interesting in its own right that you don't you don't need to make those sorts of appeals. And again, I don't want to be too much of a killjoy about it. So like there are a couple of amusing references to things like Half-Life 3, but at the very least those are those are a little bit more subtle. Actually, maybe the one thing I'll say is it's no big thing to like read a log in a game, and it's like if you don't want to read it, like it's easy to skip over. Like this is one of the reasons why I prefer like manuals in text, because it's really easy to go over the text quite quickly or skip a few pages. But like to have something that seems to just be, someone who, I get that they've got like a partnership with GOG, and I get that there's like a business relationship with CD Projekt Red, but it just feels like I need to put my game on hold so they can remind me that they know what the gamers like, TM. And I actually have never found a purpose for that in the game other than to like make me just sit down and, you know, make them feel like they got their money's worth with the voice recording or whatever it was. So I don't know. I feel it's a similar complaint to something that I would do in other games if they similarly wasted my time. But the thing is, I just don't see most games doing that, which is why I don't complain about it. Or at least in other games. But anyways, having gotten there, you don't need to suffer twice for my my dislike of that segment. I am glad that they at least let the nomads deal with the problem. But I think I am going to leave it there. We will not be waiting for Takamura's call. Yeah, we've only got one more thing to do. So I realize I'm ending a little bit later, but I'm actually really hungry, so I need to make something to eat. I'm also tired, so maybe I should just go to sleep instead of eat something. I don't know. Life is full of struggles. But yeah, no, I do need to wrap it up for tonight. So thank you everybody for hanging out. I hope it wasn't too dry in terms of the chat. But you blame all that. Indeed, Revive Snow. But yeah, again for next week. So Monday and Wednesday, I'm expecting to do XCOM 2. As always, you know, if the muse moves me, if something else comes up, I'll try and play by ear. I don't see any value in playing something that I don't feel like 100% for, but those seem like reasonably. That seems like a good game to do on those days. I will try and stream on Christmas. Again, there'll at least be one Christmas story. Still not sure on the time for it, but I will do my best, and I will try and communicate that on social media, most likely Twitter, also known as X, the everything app where it all happens, or Discord. And then I would expect next week, this time next week, or maybe a little bit earlier because I will start on time. But I will do Cyberpunk again. But depending on how everything turns out, I will. I don't know. I will. I'll figure out alternatives as quickly as possible and communicate them. I have a tendency to want to play. Outlast Trials, but I can save that for my own time, or at the very least save that for the Discord. All right, I am gonna host Kilgore Trout, who has actually played this game on the GOG channel, if I'm not mistaken. Says he's playing. Kilgore plays D Forte remaster of SSI's Pool of Radiance. So this seems to be some kind of Dungeons and D&D game. Still need more Outlast drops. Wait, do you? Please tell me you have Outlast Trials. I am tempted to. It's like on sale right now. I am tempted to get it for you, although I know you'll never play it. Just need to wait for them to add VR mode. Anyways, thank you everybody for hanging out. I'm quite tired, so I will. I hope this wasn't too much of a drag. Please do enjoy Kilgore's channel. I will see you all either Monday or next week if you're just here for the Cyberpunk. Until then, take care.